Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for attending today's session. As Rob said, today is session is part 3 of the high-end business coach, and it's actually going to be sharing the tools with you on how to be a high-end business coach and how you coach. So the first session we talked about how you think. The second one, how you think as an entrepreneur. The second one is how you build like an entrepreneur. The third one is how you coach like an entrepreneur. And the concept here is that we see that people come to us and they're struggling in a whole bunch of different areas. And when we boil down to what it is that they're struggling with, we find out that coaches think like coaches. No surprise there. That's what coaches are supposed to think like coaches. But when it comes to building your business, when it comes to taking your business to the next level, we want to teach you how to actually think like an entrepreneur. So we want you to have the experience of building a business, not a practice. Most people will teach you your coaching practice this, your coaching practice that. What we want you to understand and learn is to think entrepreneurially, and grow and expand yourself and think as though you are an entrepreneur, and your business model, what you're actually an entrepreneur of, is business coaching or coaching. So there's a lot of myths out there. There's a lot of people that are teaching things that are confusing. How to charge the wrong prices, how to interact with your clients incorrectly, intimidated by working with businesses. Well, I don't know enough about business, so how can I work with a business owner? And all of those things are typically taught incorrectly. And what we want to do is get you up to that level where you're actually bringing so much value to the table that you're worth $500 per hour. Now, to some of you, that's going to be a revelation, and some of you are going to say, that's what I want to learn. That's now you're talking my language. And the point of all this is that if you position yourself correctly, if you bring something to the table that's valuable to an entrepreneur, to a leader, to an organization, if they have employees, this is one of the keys is coaching one-on-one with startup businesses and solopreneurs is difficult because they can't afford to pay you what you really deserve to get paid. And it's difficult for them. It's a stretch for them to be able to afford you, but yet they need you. And so how do we pull all this together? Well, there's several pieces to the puzzle, but one of them is that the 3 things that you bring to the table for an entrepreneur, again, I'm defining someone who has employees. The 3 things that you can bring to the table that they could never, ever, ever do for themselves are to be an outside objective opinion, to be their accountability partner, and to point to where profits are available to them that they cannot see for themselves. Again, outside objective opinion, be their accountability partner, and point to areas where they have blind spots and they can't see that they have these blind spots, and therefore you're bringing something to the table that they can't have for themselves, and that is transformation. You see, entrepreneurs understand that they're in business to make money. And when you bring something to the table that they can't bring to the table for themselves, then you're bringing something very, very valuable. Not information that they can find on the internet. Anybody can go to the internet and put something in the search bar and look for that. But what you're bringing to the table for them is making a difference in their life. It's changing the way they think. And when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So therefore, the point of this is that your opportunity for making a difference for other people is vast if you know what you're doing, if you use these tools that we taught in session number 1, session number 2, and finally in session number 3 today, understanding that business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders are in business to make money, and you can provide results for them. Now, what kind of results? Well, we promise to our clients when we're charging $500 per hour, and we don't charge by the hour. That's just an example of the fee structure that we have. When we charge our entrepreneurs by a monthly fee, so we typically charge them a minimum of $2,000 a month for a very small company with a handful of employees as a monthly retainer fee, and that breaks out to $400 or $500 per hour. But when you get up into larger companies, they pay even more, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month, and they don't want to waste your time. They don't want to have you hang out and do work for them. They want you to get in and get out and make a difference for them, and that's how you do it. You are an outside objective opinion. You're their accountability partner, and you bring profits to them, and we promise a 3 times return on their investment. So if they're paying you $3,000 or $4,000 a month, then we promise that they're going to get a return on that investment, and that's what entrepreneurs do. Entrepreneurs are people who go into business for themselves, and they offer a product or a service into the marketplace with the intention of making a profit. And you can show them how to increase those profits by learning what we talked about in the first 2 sessions. And today, we're going to actually give you the tools that give you the value to do that. Now, if it sounds like I'm spending too much time talking about money, and money isn't everything, money is the means by which you make a living, it's more about making a difference for them than it is than you making money. However, the two go hand in hand. If you don't make money, if you're not making profit, you can't be in business. If you're not in business, if you don't have a thriving coaching business, then you don't have clients because you have to go get a job somewhere else. So the whole concept here is to understand, number one, not to be intimidated by working with businesses. Number two, that you don't just bring them information. Information is what they find on their own by using the internet. You bring transformation. You bring something special to the table. We're going to show you all kinds of tools that do that today. And then you're being their accountability partner, holds them accountable to what? To their dreams, to their future, to what it is that they say that they want, to their goals, to the things that are near and dear to their heart. And that's worth untold amounts of money, because if they could do it on their own, they would do it on their own. You're bringing something to the table that they can't provide themselves. Okay, so let's get ready. Let's dive in and let's start seeing what it is that you can do to build your business like an entrepreneur, think like an entrepreneur, and at the same time, what you want to do is you want to be able to bring tools to the table that make you so valuable that they're actually excited about paying you $500 an hour. Okay, let me get the right slide up here and we'll move forward. Okay, so what is it that you bring to the table that's so valuable other than these things that we talked about previously? Well, the first thing is to help them develop their culture. Help them develop their culture. What does this mean? Well, you see, what they don't know that they don't know is that the culture in their business, let's define culture, that's the environment that they're living in combined with the attitude, the results that their employees are providing for them. That's called the company culture. And most coaches, almost all coaches, and very few business owners and leaders understand how to develop a company culture on their own. So this is another tool that you bring to the table. We're going to teach you how to do that with these tools today. But let me have you understand that by bringing your unique skill set and these tools to the table, they're going to have to understand that the culture is the way that it is by default. So because they haven't designed a culture, because they haven't defined what their culture is, then they have a culture that's the way that it is by default. And it's up to you to help them and convince them that they need to have language, communication, tools, meetings, job descriptions, all kinds of things that are going to help them shape the culture and shape it in a way that actually produces a profit. So let me break this down for you. So company A has has no company culture that's defined. So by default, it becomes the personality of the owner. Well, let's just say the owner or the leader has a tendency to have a short temper, be a little bit on the mean and the direct side and demanding of the employees. Well, that's the company culture. But it doesn't have to be that way. Company B knows what kind of culture they want. They want a culture of accountability, and they want a culture that's learning and growing and expanding itself all the time. And company B knows how to do that because their coach says, hey, let's put out a mission statement, a vision statement, a set of core values, job descriptions, have regular all company meetings, an org chart, annual retreats, and have a language that defines us as people who can be held accountable and people who love to come to work and people who operate like a team as opposed to independent contractors. So when you have that kind of a culture, the difference is that people want to come to work when people are providing the kind of results that the leader of the organization wants. Then you have a culture of accountability, profits go up, sales go up, increase in customer count goes up, decrease in employee turnover goes down. And that kind of a culture is the kind of culture that you want to help them develop. And again, we're going to show you the tools that you can bring to the table that will actually help them develop that culture and transform their business from where it is now to where they want it to be. So here's on slide number one, on this current slide, the slide that we're on right now is our business coaching model here at businesscoach.com. This is what we teach in our Thrive Business Academy. This is what we teach in our 12-month mentoring program. This is what we teach when we train and certify our coaches at businesscoach.com. This is the kind of the foundational model that we teach business coaches, executive coaches, corporate coaches, leadership coaches, because it helps get the client in the mindset of growing their business as entrepreneurs should learn to grow it. Now, I've talked a lot about you all becoming entrepreneurial by nature and you all understanding that you need to build your coaching business, not coaching practice, but coaching business from a standpoint of thinking like an entrepreneur. I want to address what entrepreneurs are thinking like. That slide that I had up a couple of slides ago, entrepreneurs don't think like entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs think out of their emotions oftentimes and are not doing the nuts and bolts, basic things that they should be doing to develop and grow their business. Entrepreneurs have not gone to Entrepreneurial Skill 101. Entrepreneurs have not been trained to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs have ideas and notions and plans and directions. And they think those are the right tools that they should be using, the right ideas, the right systems and processes for their business. And that's not accurate. It's not what they should be doing. So an entrepreneur typically 90% of the time entrepreneurs are learning from their previous JOB, their previous owner or leader or whoever taught them in business. Or they're listening to their spouse or their employees and getting the wrong information. So what I'm about to teach you today is how to develop people and not only have you think like an entrepreneur, but teach entrepreneurs, leaders, owners, vice presidents of organizations to think like an entrepreneur as well. And they simply don't have the education. You see, what we're talking about today is not what you learn if you have an MBA or a PhD or have even gotten a business administration degree, a BA in college. What we're talking about today are things that they have not learned because they have not educated themselves. They have not spent the time. They have not invested in learning and understanding. How do I develop my business? How do I have a culture of accountability? How do I increase my profits? How do I decrease the amount of employee turnover? I get them in, train them, and they leave and go somewhere else. Because the culture is not stable in the organization. And we're going to teach you today the technique, the system, the process for stabilizing their business and helping them become very, very successful. And that is valuable to them because you're going to actually transform their business, actually help them transform their business, their thinking, and therefore even their lifestyle. Their profits are going to change. Things are going to be far different from them once they decide to work with you as their coach. Now, this is not a quick fix program. This does take time, and it took them typically a lot of the clients that we work with are doing several $1 million in business annually in sales. They've been in business for 5 years or longer. And they typically have at least 25 employees. Now that's all that is variables. It can change, and it doesn't have to be those things. But once they have those things in place, I will promise you that 9 out of 10 business owners that you meet with are struggling in their business at some level. And we actually learned that word struggle from many of the entrepreneurs over the 28, 29 years that we've been doing this, training and certifying coaches and working with clients. You're talking to somebody who has done both. I still have clients that I work with, and I still train coaches. And so I'm in touch with what's going on in the market right now and where leaders and entrepreneurs and owners are struggling in their businesses. And if you look at your screen, it'll give you a good indication right off the bat as to where they might be struggling. First of all, let's start with vision and commitment at the top of your screen. Leaders, business owners have a vision, but they don't know how to enact the vision or share the vision with their employees. They don't know how to engage the culture that they're developing or not developing. They don't know how to get people to buy into and understand their vision. So they have a vision. And what you want them to do is you want them to be clear on their vision for the next 6 months, the next year, and the next 3 years. You know, what do you want it to look like? Forget about you've tried and it's not working. What is it that you want it to look like? Just dream for a little bit. Share with me your vision. Once they've given you their 6 month, their 1 year, and their 3 year vision, then you say, are you committed to that? Are you genuinely committed to that vision? Because if you are, I can help you. I can be your accountability partner. I can bring an outside objective opinion. I can show you areas. I can point to things that you're not doing now. And by the way, that's going to come up on the next slide. So if you're wondering what things are we going to point them to, it's going to show up here in the next couple of slides. So if you're committed, I'll get you there. But you've got to really, truly be committed to the process and potentially turn yourself inside out and be willing to change some things from the way you're doing them now to be more effective, not more efficient, more effective. You're doing a lot of stuff now, but we're going to have to change some things. We're going to have to turn the dial 90 degrees, maybe 180 degrees, and create some change in here. And if you're up for the change, if you're committed to that, I'll show you how to do that. The first place we're going to start with is we're going to teach you a much, much better way to communicate with your people. A much better way to communicate with your people. So for example, are we having regular meetings where everybody gets together at least once a month, sometimes more often? Discuss old company business, new company business, have a set of core values, review our core values, our mission, maybe our vision, and talk about what's working, what's not working, and what's missing in the organization. New business, we just got a big new client, and that's going to change some of the way we do business. Great, let's share that with everybody, not let people find out on their own. New business, we lost a big client, and we need our sales team to step it up and go create sales so we can get back the volume that we lost. Old business, reviewing our core values and our principles over and over and over again to make sure we keep everybody on task. You can't count on employees being on task on their own. They've got to have tools that get them there. What about keeping score? Keeping score is a huge topic. Are your profit and loss statements current? Are you dealing with 3-month, 6-month-old profit and loss statements so you don't even know currently if you're producing a profit or how much profit that is? Are you keeping track of your sales daily, weekly, monthly, and looking at the scorecard to find out how well sales are coming in? Who's in charge of sales? What about our percentage of profit? Not just making a profit, but what's the percentage? Is the industry producing a 10% bottom line profit and we're bringing a 2% bottom line profit? Maybe our prices are too low. Now, there's a lot of myths around the business coaching industry and a lot of false teachings. I apologize for that. A lot of you have probably spent a lot of money learning business coaching or coaching, and then when you get out into the world, you find out the tools are maybe not what you needed or what you need to succeed. So what I want to share with you is that a lot of coaching organizations teach to ask questions. Well, this is where questions can become very, very important. We're going to give you tools today that you can utilize. But in this case, asking questions about what they're committed to, how they're communicating to the rest of the organization, how they're keeping score, questions about profitability, and do they know how to increase profits? And sometimes it's the two of you together working on things that make the difference. Sometimes it's the two of you together putting your heads together and figuring it out. Sometimes you read books. Sometimes we're going to talk about that. Sometimes you go online. Sometimes you call a competitor. Sometimes you call somebody who's not a competitor, but somebody in business that has similar circumstances as you. And either you or your client check in with them and say, hey, we've got a problem we can't resolve. How do you resolve this? So keeping score is huge, because if you don't know whether you're profitable or not, if you don't know whether you're growing or not, if you don't know if your profit margins are in check, if you don't know why you're having employee turnover or customer turnover, if you're not keeping track of all that, then your business is spinning out of control. You could be out of business and not even knowing it, and not even know it. But with a business coach, with somebody there coaching you, they can ask these questions and prod a little bit, and together the two of you can come up with some solutions. Sometimes when you put two heads together, 1 and 1 is 5. You get results. And again, we're going to give you all kinds of tools today to help you get results for your clients. Okay, the next one is action planning. Do they have a business plan? The answer 95% of the time in my 28 years of polling people, over 28 years of polling people, is the answer is no. They don't have a business plan or a strategic plan. So your job is, when you look at their vision, what they're committed to, looking at their core values, their mission statement, vision statement, which we're going to go over in a minute. When you go into all of that, and ask those questions and find out what they have and what they don't have, then you come up with an action list, not an action plan, but just an action list, and prioritize the top 10 things that need to happen now. Number 1, bring our P&Ls current. Number 2, and get them up to date. Have our bookkeeper or our accountant give us more accurate scorekeeping. Number 2, start having regular all-company meetings. Number 3, come up with a set of core values. Number 4, put together an org chart so people know who they report to and who they don't report to, et cetera, et cetera. So you come up with a list of things. Again, we're going to go over that in just a minute. So that's called an action plan or an action list, and you want to come up with 8 or 10 different things that people need to do right away and prioritize them and start going down the list. And then again, as their accountability partner, as you meet with them 3 or 4 times a month, so almost every week you meet with them over the phone or in person, you go down the list. Did you do action item number 1? Good, let's cross that off the list. What about action item number 2? Good, cross off the list. What about action item number 3? You're still working on it? I'll remind you of that again next week when we meet. What about action item number 4? Good, cross off the list. Now, here's some other things that are not working or missing that you found out in the meantime. Let's add them to the list, and the list goes on and on and on. So some form of action plan. And obviously, if you're going to a bank or for an SBA loan or a loan, or if you're looking for a credit line or something, that's going to actually have to be a strategic plan or a business plan, and that's a deeper conversation for another time. The next category is teamwork. Are they operating as a team? We don't have time to talk about it in detail today, but I'm going to say this. Oftentimes when I meet new clients, they'll introduce people in the organization. Oh, this is so-and-so in accounting. He's in charge of our accounting team. This is team member so-and-so. They're in charge of sales, and so on and so forth. And they talk about team, and then I ask them, could you define team for me? And they can't even define team. So we've got to create conversations as to what is a team in business. What does it really look like? And that's another tool that we have in our toolbox that we don't have to go over today, to actually defining a team. But a team is a group of people that are working cohesively together with a common goal and an understood purpose for how they operate, willing to communicate in a way that produces results. That's a short version of our definition of team. So the point is that if they're talking like they're a team and they're talking as though they're a team, but they're not a team, they're really not doing themselves much of a service. The next topic is leadership. And oh my goodness, these next two topics are, just please make a note, missing in business, missing in business. Most leaders don't understand leadership. Most entrepreneurs don't understand leadership. Most business owners, senior VPs do not understand leadership. Again, in my almost 29 years of being a business coach and training coaches, very few people study and understand leadership. There's so many great books out on the topics of leadership and ways that people can learn and grow themselves. It absolutely blows me away that leadership is so missing in the business world. And part of leadership is holding employees accountable, teaching people about being accountable, not doing accountable, being accountable, being somebody who can be trusted, who can be held accountable, who understands how to be an accountability employee at the level that they produce results. You could spend a year working with a client, just developing their leadership and their understanding of accountability. In order for them to get results. And that's the bottom line here. If you do vision and commitment, work on communication, have companies keep score, create action plans and action planning lists, develop the team, help them in leadership, and create a culture of accountability. Ladies and gentlemen, you are talking about a one-year coaching relationship just to cover these 8 topics to get down to the bottom and get results. Now, here's what we teach and here's what we say. Here's what we have as part of our methodology in our system at businesscoach.com. And that is, at about the end of 6 months, you need to start back up at vision and commitment and start all over again. Because after 6 months, they're starting to understand that you are different than any other coach, that you know what you're doing, that you're bringing certain tools to the table that absolutely provide them results. And by providing them results, they need to start all over and have a bigger vision, deeper commitments, and develop their company at a different rate, a rate that they couldn't see the last time that you worked with them. So helping your clients create a real results throughout the company. This is where your fees become so insignificant to them, because what we're now going to teach you is some of the communication tools that they'll need to develop the culture. And I'm going to have to go a little bit fast because of time here, but let me share a few things with you that are really significant. Number one, some companies have a vision statement as well as are clear on their vision. You can help them develop a vision statement. That's, I'm going to say 25% of the time. However, let's move on to mission statement and talk about mission statement. Almost every company has a mission statement. Most of them don't live according to their mission statement. So what you can do is help them develop a very robust mission statement. You can find this out on the internet. There's books on the topic. It's easy to do. But help them develop a mission statement. And then remember, in our previous conversation, we talked about effective communication. Well, in effective communication, it's imperative that they keep alive the mission statement, and it's posted all over the company. They talk about it all the time, and they make a big deal out of the mission statement. So having a mission statement and putting it in a drawer is a waste of time. Having a mission statement and developing the organization around the mission statement is a really big deal. It's a really big deal. And the same thing with what's commonly referred to as core values. Organizations, you'll find all kinds of Fortune 500 and Fortune 1000, Fortune 2000 companies have mission statements and core values. I can't stand using the word core value. It just doesn't resonate with me. So I call them company commitments. We like to use the word company commitments for their core values, usually about 6 to 10 of them, and their core values like, we are committed to being a sales-driven organization. We are committed to our employees operating in the domain of accountability and looking forward to coming to work every day. We are committed to our company culture, developing a family-like environment and creating results that everybody can be proud of. Those kinds of company commitments. So you use the word commitment, you introduce the word commitment to people because it's a really powerful word in business and it's very underutilized. So you have a mission statement and a set of core values, which you call company commitments, and you make them inherently important. And that's the communication that develops the culture. That's the kind of communication that develops a culture. So they have regular all-company meetings at least once a month. First thing they do is review and read the mission statement, review and read the company commitments, and then talk about them for a few minutes before they go on to old business and new business. It's really, really important to developing the culture that you define the culture in the company commitments, and then they live them out by reading them consistently, putting them up in their workstation, hanging them in their office, putting a copy in the lobby of the business or in the front part of the business or throughout the business or in the lunchroom of the business, and make a big, big deal out of that. Okay, the next thing is we talked about a business plan, but also it should include marketing in there. So if they don't have time to put together a business plan, they could have a marketing plan, an action plan, and it would include what marketing or sales things are they going to do? What are the goals? What's the direction the company is likely to go? What's the big picture vision? Where do we find our clients? At what point do we hire new salespeople or a sales manager? Those kinds of things are listed in the action plan and the marketing plan, which is included in the action plan. And I would say that could be all done in 3 or 4 or 5 pages. A really nice, tight little plan of things and projects and responsibilities and accountabilities for what can be accomplished in the current 12-month period that we're working in. Not necessarily the calendar year, but the next 12 months. I've got to move on in the interest of time. So job descriptions. There's all kinds of ways you can hold employees accountable and define the culture included in the job description. Really important. These are all great living documents that should be reviewed and made a very big and important part of the culture, developing the culture. Sometimes there's things attached to the job descriptions, such as job expectations, the overall expectations of everybody in the company. And it's reminded to the employees when they look at their job description, the last page says job expectations. Training programs is another thing. We've got to have training programs. If we don't have training, you can't develop the company culture. So there's training programs. And these training programs, that each employee should probably spend 2 to 4 hours per month being trained in something, and that's a minimum. So that's just a minimum level. 2 to 4 hours a month. Managers maybe more, maybe 6 to 8 hours a month. Getting trained and brought up and taught ways that they can develop the organization and develop their people. So all these living documents that we just talked about are the documents that you have that will change and develop the culture. And it all results in being an agent of transformation. Remember, information is found on the internet. That's free. Transformation is so valuable, you can charge anything you want for it. I said $500 an hour. That's what we charge. Explain to our brand new students that graduate. We explain to them that they should be looking at around $500 an hour on a monthly retainer fee when they break it out. However, I know coaches that charge $750 an hour, $1,000 an hour, $2,000 an hour in business because there's so much value to creating transformation in business and transforming the way people think. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So people really don't understand how valuable business coaching can actually be when you actually bring transformation to the table. And these tools that we've been talking about really help leaders of organizations understand the big picture and really help them understand the power that's available to them that they don't know on their own. Transformation is the key, and if you don't know or your clients don't know how to transform themselves, we're going to give you some tools here again that are transformational tools that make a big difference for your clients. Great leaders make great readers. So here's a sample of 6 out of the top 25 books that we have our clients read. And we didn't just pick these books because we picked them out because they were on the bestseller list. We didn't pick them out because we thought they were a good read. We didn't pick them out because somebody said that these would be good books for people to read. So you're actually going to have your clients do homework assignments as part of the growth process and part of the coaching process, and part of what you're going to hold them accountable to do is to grow and teach themselves more about their business the way they should have been doing all along. Let me say that again. You're actually going to hold your clients accountable to reading at least 1 book per month, in some cases 2 or more, to learn about their business and learn about how to grow their business like they should have been doing all along. So if they've been in business for 5 years and they've read 3 books, they haven't really taught themselves much about being an entrepreneur. And your job is to bring an outside objective opinion. Wow, you need to be doing some reading here. Be their accountability partner, hold them accountable to 1 or 2 books per month to grow themselves as an entrepreneur. Number 3, bring an outside objective opinion, bring powerful ideas to them that create results for them, reading books, learning and growing themselves, developing their culture, following the businesscoach.com's business coaching model, creating their living documents, which all of that is transformation. And when they do these things, there's plenty of room for you to coach them. You don't have to be a PhD, an MBA, or even understand business to do any of the things we've talked about today. You merely just need to follow this process and make sure that you hold people accountable to learning and growing themselves. So each one of these books here, this is 6 of our top 25 that we have our clients read on a regular basis. These are some of the first ones that we have them read. Are books that many of our students and clients and associates brought to the table, not once, not twice, but several times, came to us and said, this is a great book. You really need to get this book on your client reading book, on your client reading list. And when we heard that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, then we said, wow, this is showing up on a regular basis. And my staff and I have probably read 300 books or more to boil it down to this top 25. And not only are each and every one of these best-selling books and have sold probably a minimum of 1 million books each, that's really sort of irrelevant because a lot of average books can sell with the right marketing can sell up. But each one of these will teach them how to grow their business, how to develop themselves, their business, and find out what's missing in their business, what's not working in their business, what's dysfunctional in their business so they can change it. And again, you can help coach them and help get them to the next level in their business so that they can read their way into growing and learning what it is they should have been doing all along. Okay, so again, part of transformation is to have people understand at the very beginning of the relationship with them, ask them, what's really going on here now? So in your first meeting with your clients, you're going to ask them, do you have a mission statement? Is it visible? Do you have core values? Are they visible? Are you keeping score regularly? Are your P&Ls current? Do you have regular meetings at least once a month? Are you reading books, and so on and so forth? So in the early stages of the relationship, when you're building this action plan, one of the ways that you do that is that you ask them these questions and make lists of things that they're not doing. And that becomes your action list. That becomes the coaching for the future, the way that you're going to be coaching them. Because they don't know that. They don't know that they don't know what's necessary for them to grow and expand their business. So we call this in our Thrive Business Academy and our 12-month mentoring program here at businesscoach.com, we call it the TCX experience, the transformational experience, the transformational coaching experience for building profits. So you need to understand that all of this transformational process, all of this change, all of these questions you're asking them, all the things that you're doing as a business coach, you need to be really, really clear that these things produce profits for organizations. And it transforms the entire culture and organization from an average, ordinary organization to an extraordinary organization. So what we teach at the Thrive Business Academy, what we teach here at businesscoach.com, what we have our coaches understand is this transformational coaching experience helps organizations build profits, and it develops their business in a way that paying you $500 per hour on a monthly retainer fee is nothing compared to the return that they're going to get on their investment. They should have been doing all of these things from the very first day that they got behind the driver's seat of their business. And when you point these things out to them, in many cases, they're, of course, embarrassed or sad that they don't already know these things and do them. But you can hold their hand and walk them through, hold them accountable, and create a big shift from an ordinary business to an extraordinary business just by you being there and being their coach. Okay, you understand that? It's all about the experience of them getting to know their business at a very intimate level, a level that's going to actually be a game changer, make a big difference for their organization. So we've talked about an awful lot. We got into a lot of what businesscoach.com teaches our coaches. And we have a tool available to you. It's on our website. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about it because I just want to give you some context. We have a tool on our website called Strategies to Future-Proof Your Business, the Client Workbook. It's only $350. You can buy it straight away by going to businesscoach.com or becomeabusinesscoach.com and look under products. The reason why I share this with you is it's over 260 pages of what you've gotten a taste of today. So it really, all these tools like job description outlines and business plan outlines, team building tools, accountability tools, customer service and excellence, leadership, on and on and on. 260 plus pages of all the things that you've looked at today are available, including two 1-hour recordings on how to use the client workbook, strategies to future-proof your business. So if you're wondering how are you going to digest all this stuff, you want to become a business coach, you want to work with clients, you want to make $500 an hour or more by doing business coaching, that one tool for $350 plus shipping and handling will get the job done for you. And all that we've talked about in these toolbox tools will be available to you there. Okay, we've got to move along because we've got a very important home stretch conversation to have here, and that is the first 6 months of the business coaching relationship. We have outlined here, and again, we don't have time to go into all of it, but I'm going to kind of run through what it looks like when you start with a client right out of the get-go. During the first 30 days, you're going to first meeting, you're going to ask them, what is actually going on around here? What are your goals? What are your commitments? Do you have a mission statement? Do you have core values? Do you have job descriptions? You're going to make a big list of all that stuff. And you're going to ask them that in the very first meeting or two. Then you're going to be very clear and ask them, what is it they really want? What is the vision, the big picture? During the first month, you're going to also pick up the profit and loss statements for the last 12 months. And you don't have to be a PhD or an MBA or even a BA to understand. You just look at the profitability, spend some time looking at it on your own time, take a copy with you, review it, and then bring some questions back for them and have them elaborate. If you have one of our client workbooks, you're going to give the client workbook to the client, and that's you charge them for that, so it's no cost to you. You buy it from us, charge them. If you buy them in volume, we can give you a volume discount. You can make a profit on them. And you have them read the first chapter in the client workbook so they can get familiar with business coaching as opposed to other kinds of coaching. You get a list during the first month of the leaders of the organization, and you start to identify who are the key players and how are they performing. All of this produces an action list. By the end of month one, you have a whole list of questions and action items that they can beginning to prioritize and get in touch with, that they should have been doing some of these things. And you say, oh, by the way, here's a book for you to read. Read this book. And the reading list is also included in our client workbook. So it gives you the actual books for them to read in the client workbook. And you can start them reading some of the books that we had on the previous screen. That's their homework assignment, and that's what you cover just in the first 30 days. That is, if you can get through most of that, you're doing really good. Some of it will spill over into month number 2. In month number 2, you begin to develop their mission statement and their core values, which we call company commitments. By the way, in the client workbook, there's a whole chapter on commitment, just one full chapter with handouts and quotes and all kinds of things to get them in touch with how commitment really works when it's done right, done well. You may start meeting some of the other people in the organization and even interviewing some of the other leaders in the organization to find out from them what's really going on. So the leader's going to give you, the owner, the leader is going to give you one point of view as to what's going on in the organization. And then you interview other managers, leaders, other people in the organization, you're going to get a different version of what's really going on there and what's missing in the organization. Great question to ask people. What's missing in the organization? The difference of which, if it wasn't missing, would be a powerful, powerful shift in your business. So by the way, they're developing the mission statement and company commitments not in front of you. They're doing that, and that's their homework assignment. So in month number 2, you're giving them some examples of what that looks like, and then they are doing that and bringing you draft versions back. Maybe the leader reads one more book in month 2, maybe 2 more books, and maybe they get into a second chapter of the client workbook and they start reading the client workbook and getting into that. In month number 2, by the end of month number 2, you should be able to sit down with them and review the P&L statements and find out where they think more profits are available to them. That brings us to month number 3. Month number 3, we have our first all-company meeting. Now, this is really critical that you understand this. In month number 3, you want to have everybody, excuse me, let me say that differently. By the end of month number 3, so it could be at the end of month number 2 or sometime in month number 3, but no later than the end of month number 3, you want to have your first all-company meeting where everybody gets together. If they're already doing that, which is rare, then it's the first meet the coach meeting. So at that meeting now, you should have prepared the new mission statement, the new company commitments on company letterhead, and be willing to discuss that, introduce that to the entire organization. And first, the leader of the organization introduces you and makes it a positive statement. Look what we've done. We are so committed to growing our business. We're so committed to going to the next level. We're so committed to make sure that we succeed here as a business, that we've hired a business coach and we're learning and growing, and some of you will be working with the business coach here in the future. So I wanted to introduce so-and-so, who's our coach, and he or she has been pouring into me and growing me, and I'm excited about it because all professional athletes, all Olympic athletes, all professional people in the arts, singers and actors and the like, all of these people that are successful and high-end, high achievers all have coaches. So I thought it would be a good idea to bring a coach in to work with us. So that's your all-company meeting that you have where you get introduced and they read the company commitments, they read the mission statement, and then you ask people, talk to me about this. How do you feel about it? What are you hearing? How can we clarify things for you? Do you understand that this is going forward? These words, these documents, this communication is something that is a foundation that we're going to stand on. Okay, maybe in month number 3, you do a survey and you get feedback from the employees. There's a particular way you do that. Again, that's identified in the client workbook that you can buy on our website. You're starting to put together key indicators and keeping score in month number 3. So now you're looking at maybe putting together a dashboard of sorts so that they can learn a little bit about tracking customer count, customer turnover, new customer count, employee turnover, bottom line profits, new goals, hitting the goal, not hitting the goal, monthly, weekly breakout of the goal, and checking in with people throughout the month to make sure that everybody's on task and moving the organization forward, et cetera, et cetera. By the end of month 3, you've interviewed first and second level managers, if there is such a thing, and you've looked at their job description and the people that report to them job description to make sure that in their job descriptions they have standards of performance and other things. Again, those are all in the client workbook. You've had leadership meetings with certain VPs, and maybe if there's 3 or 4 or 5 VPs, you get them all together and you go over all this with them and what the cultural development program looks like. And you're talking to them about what the coaching program looks like, and you're giving them insights. Maybe there's a strategic planning meeting that everybody in the senior management team buys into and looks forward to. Now you're starting to have first tier leaders read the same books that the leader was reading in month 1 and 2. Now in month 3, you're having your top leaders read those same books so they're on the same page as the leader of the organization. I just want to take a brief pause and just say, ladies and gentlemen, is this brilliant or what? You really don't have to have an MBA or a PhD. All you have to do is follow this process, and you can become a business coach, and it's not that complicated. It's really just following the lead of what we've mapped out for you and what we've learned in our 28 plus years of doing this process with organizations and with coaches, and providing you with the real deal, real business coaching tools. Okay, I'm going to skim through month number 4 real quickly. More reading for leaders, another monthly meeting with all the employees where you attend and you make sure that things are getting done appropriately. You might have a university program, a training program that you put in place. You might facilitate a management retreat, more people meeting, reading more books, doing more homework assignments. So as the action list grows week by week, month by month, more people are involved with being accountable for making sure that the action list gets done and that people are doing work in the areas that are missing or not working in the organization. We're turning that around and we're changing things so that they have an entirely different experience. So month number 5 and 6 are more of the same. It's a repeat. Again, all these things are available in our programs, and this is what we teach people to do so that they can make the kind of money that provides them with the kind of income larger than what they left behind in their previous JOB. So the transformation coaching experience is really what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. And remember that people want the experience of having the experience of growth, the experience of transformation. They want to experience a one-on-one relationship with somebody they can talk to that can be their coach, somebody they can confide in. They can't talk to their employees about some of these issues, so they have you, the person that they can confide in and discuss significant issues in their organization that they can't make a decision on. they're stuck and they're struggling and they don't know where to look or who to turn to. In the previous two sessions, we talked a little bit about how to introduce that concept to potential clients so that you can demonstrate coaching to them in a way that they have the experience, that you know what you're talking about, and that this system, this process, these tools that we've been teaching you have such a tremendous impact on their organization that it actually transforms the entire organization. So the experience that they really want to have is a partner. They want somebody to partner with them and bring tools to the table that are going to help them grow their business and produce results. And that's what you bring to the table. Not information, which they can find in the internet. Transformation. Changing the way that they look at things. When they change the way they look at things, the things they look at change. And it's so important that these living documents and these tools and these things that we talked about today really help you help them make a difference. And that's the experience that they're looking for. That's the experience that you can bring to them by just simply being an outside objective opinion, being their accountability partner, and making a difference by bringing results to the table where they can't get results themselves. In other words, taking blind spots that they have and turning them into results. Now, if you want to learn more about this, there's a couple ways that you can learn more about this and get some more free stuff and more details about businesscoach.com. And one way to do that is to go to becomeabusinesscoach.com. Becomeabusinesscoach.com. And when you go to becomeabusinesscoach.com, the screen will look something like this, and it'll say, get the guide now, and you click on the big red button, and you get the free guide that'll go into more details. And there's, as you can see, a couple different places where you can click on the different areas there and not only get the free guide, but you can get more information about how to become a high-end business coach. This is real business coaching for people that are really committed to being a business coach and people that are really committed to transforming organizations and pulling in $500 or more per hour for doing that. Now, other things that you can do is that you can go to businesscoach.com or becomeabusinesscoach.com. You can contact me directly, Gary at businesscoach.com, Gary at businesscoach.com, or all the information's on the website. Get in contact with us, and we will give you information as to how you can join our Thrive Business Academy for coaches. Very inexpensive. It's a regular program. We have our Small Business Coach Master Training System available to all of our students. We have the client workbook available to all of our students. We have over 50 recordings of previous Thrive Business Academy recordings, tons of materials. There's videos on there, all kinds of stuff, and we're adding more every single month. So that's a couple of ways. And of course, I mentioned if you just want the tools and that's all you want to do, if you figured it out by what you've learned in these 3 sessions, and all you need is the tools, you can go to our becomeabusinesscoach.com, go to the area where it has products, and just buy the client workbook for $350 plus shipping and handling. It comes with 260 plus pages of information and a couple of recordings that'll teach you all that information. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of this series. I've just had a blast. This is what I love doing, is teaching people how to be a high-end business coach and how to work with clients that are really committed to growing and expanding their business. And so I just want to thank you, Rob, for these 3 sessions and allowing me to do this work.
Well, absolutely, Coach Gary. No, thank you necessary on your end. We sure appreciate you sharing everything you did. I mean, you pretty much mapped out everything people need to know to become a business coach, and you got all the tools and resources to make it even easier to do. So, yeah, we really, really appreciate you not holding back and just sharing so generously over these last 3 calls. Thank you.
Well, you're most welcome. That's the way I do it. That's the way we roll here at businesscoach.com. And as I said, I love what I do, so it's easy for me to have these conversations and to teach these courses.
Yeah, it's obvious you're very passionate about it. So there are some people on the call, and if you guys have questions, please go ahead and type them in the Q&A box, and I'll go ahead and read them to Coach Gary. While we're waiting for anybody to type in questions, Coach Gary, I'll ask you a few myself. One just it follows up on the last thing you were talking about at the end of the presentation, that, if somebody does want to get started right away as a business coach, what is the ideal next step? In my opinion, it would be to email you directly at gary@businesscoach.com and say, Coach Gary, I want to get started, but maybe you have a different answer. If someone's been listening to these and says, yes, I want to do this, but I'm not sure whether I should get the client workbook or go to becomeabusinesscoach.com or do this or do that, what advice would you give someone who knows they want to do this and wants to get started?
Yeah, they can do all of the above, Rob. Probably the easiest thing to do is to email me, gary@businesscoach.com, or call me. Our landline phone number is on the website. They can get in contact with me. We're very easy to reach. And I will walk them through, Rob, a few steps and ask them a few questions to make sure that we have what they want. If we don't have what they want, if we can't provide that, I'll give them solutions or books, reading material, or some other program that maybe provides them with what it is that they want. But we really want to be in relationship with people and help them get results. That's the goal, and that's what we do. So the main thing is that I like to talk to people first and make sure that what they're experiencing and what they're signing up for or looking for is something that we can provide them.
Okay, thanks. So I would say the easiest thing to do is probably to email you at gary@businesscoach.com and just start the conversation. Then you can direct them to the right resources or have a call with them. Whatever makes the most sense. So
absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Coach Gary. And then I just wanted to mention on the culture. I've known you for such a long time, but I never really thought about it that a company that doesn't have a defined culture, it's basically the personality of the owner. I thought that was so insightful, and I could see that just blowing a potential client away. That revelation that if you don't have your culture defined, it's pretty much the personality of the owner. I don't know if this is a question or not, but I guess did I get that right?
Yes. Really, the question is Rob, is why wouldn't they want to define their culture?
Yeah.
And why wouldn't they want to rather than have it by default, whatever it is? It could be the personality of maybe a vice president or a sales manager or somebody else in the organization, depending on the strengths or weaknesses of the leader. So it's really imperative that people understand that there's going to be a culture there, and it's going to have some kind of definition of what it is. And why not be proactive and actually define the culture the way you want it and design it and develop it the way you want it, so that it is not by default but by design a productive, accountable organization.
Yeah, makes total sense. And I think that a business owner hearing that and understanding it is going to say, I guess we do need that. But I really like how you say that the culture is the personality of the owner if they haven't defined it. I think that's great. I also wanted to, I'm going to ask you for this off the top of your head, so I don't think you have a prepared answer, but if you reflect on some of your best clients, some of the best companies you've coached, best from a standpoint of they hired you easily, you got them results easily, do any come to mind, any types of companies, just to get people excited out there about what might be some of the easier clients to enroll?
Yes. there's two answers to that, Rob. Number one, we look for people, and we covered this in a couple of our previous sessions. We're looking for people that are coachable. So if you can find somebody who's eager, aggressive, wants to learn, doesn't think that they know it all, that's one aspect of who we're looking for. The other thing is people that are struggling in business oftentimes can identify the fact that time and money issues are a big part of where they're struggling. So one way to have conversations with people, relate to them really easily, and get their attention is talk about time and money. How many hours are you working per week? How many hours are your employees working per week, like your VPs, your leaders? Why is it some organizations can get it all done in 35 or 40 hours a week, but you guys are all working long hours? And then money is not just necessarily profits, but the fact that last year was a repeat of the year before, and it looks like this year is going to be a repeat of last year. We can't seem to get off the bubble. We can't seem to either increase our sales or increase our profits. So there's a stuckness there around money, and it might not be directly attached to sales or profits, but it might be something to do with the way they're approaching their business. And business owners and leaders, you don't have to come out and just say, I wonder if you have issues around time and money. What you just do is start bringing up how many hours a week are you working, how many hours a week are your employees working, is your profitability where you want it to be, how were sales last year, were they a big increase over the year before, do you think this year is going to be bigger than last year, and prod around time and money issues, and you'll get people's attention.
Okay, so maybe it's not as much about the type of business as it is about the qualities of the business owner. Though, just I guess for curiosity's sake, like what comes to mind for me is I believe that you helped a motorcycle dealership is one example of a type of company you've coached. Do any others come to mind?
Sure. There's a couple of different things. Number one, service-oriented businesses have a tendency to be easier to work with than manufacturing companies, wholesale, retail, and specific industries. So if there's what's a service-oriented business? A service-oriented business is insurance companies, CPAs, people that even provide a product for people. What they really are all about is making sure that they give great service to people. So law firms and firms like your firm and my firm, people that are providing something to others that's not always tangible, can really relate to these conversations, and are really easy to have coaching conversations and talk about the potential of them being a potential client.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that answer. I did want to mention that I've seen your client workbook, and it is very impressive. And so I mean, I'm guessing that people on this call could purchase it for a couple of reasons. One might be to use it and look at their own business, but the other might be to get sort of the confidence and education and preparedness to talk to clients about going through this process. And then, of course, the clients would need their own copy of the workbook to go through it. But do I have that right? Or what are some reasons that people on this call might go grab that client workbook?
It's a great question. You're spot on with all your responses and your answers. The first answer is it's inexpensive. For $350, for Pete's sake, it's an investment of 28 years worth of our collection of handouts, tools. There's 2 one-hour recordings on how to use the client workbook. There's all kinds of things that you can walk your clients through, copies of job descriptions, customer service and excellence programs, team building, leadership, strategic planning. It's really a robust document. Comes in a great big fat binder, and all of the there's probably 100 handouts in there that you can just put in a copy machine, make a copy of it, and use them with your clients and your clients' employees. So that's one thing. The other thing is, Rob, that we've learned, and I guess maybe I'm a little stubborn. It took me a number of years to kind of figure this out. But one of the things that I've learned in the last few years is that a lot of the tools that we teach our coaches are great for them to build their business as well as build the client's business. So there's a lot of entrepreneurialism that's built into every one of our programs, in particular the Thrive Business Academy, but also just the simple things that are in the client workbook are things that coaches should be doing as well. So it's great learning experience for anybody who wants to expand themselves in their thinking as an entrepreneur, grow their business. You can't lose by investing making a simple $350 investment.
Awesome, Coach Gary. Yeah, I like the two-angle approach there. Works for the coach and it works for the clients. So yeah, that's awesome. I think we can probably go ahead and wrap up. This is a smaller call because it's the platinum group as opposed to the larger basic group. But yeah, Coach Gary, I really appreciate your time over these last 3 weeks. And I know that it's more than you just showing up and talking. You had to put preparation into this presentation, and you really put some thought into what to share with us. And the feedback from people has been amazing. I love how responsive our audience has been to your teaching and your style. So with all my sincerest appreciation, Coach Gary, thank you very much.
You're most welcome, Rob. As you know, as you said earlier, we've had a long time friendship. I'm happy to help your community any way that I can, and thank you for having me on. It's been a real blessing for us as well, and it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Coach Gary, and we'll go ahead and say bye for now. So thanks, everybody. Bye for now.